welcome. This is Crime Queen. Okay, and we are talking about actualizing self-full love. Do you want to actualize self-full love? Do you want to be ignited? Let the crimson light be ignited in you. Okay, so we've been talking about presence in actualizing self-full love. How can we actualize self-full love through presence? As I've explained before, presence has been personified through actualizing self-full love, because this whole series is deriving from the Crimson Light, my journey of self-discovery, self-realization, self-acceptance, and so on and so forth. All the things that gives us a sense of purpose, sense of belonging, sense of understanding who we are. Okay, so presence we have talked about, and we talked about presence in terms of numerology as well, which equates to the number 4, and which gives us a sense of solidity. I am really pleased, in fact, without even planning it too much, but I suppose I have been doing this more on being intuitive, and to have chosen presence as one of the first of 7 elders to begin with, to begin this series on actualizing self-full love. Presence gives us this sense of solidity, sense of belonging, sense of warmth, and presence, as we say. It's really, if you were to think about it, I don't know how it had been for you in your school days, but in my school days in the primary school, of course, there was the roll call, we called it, and they would call out your name and say, "Are you present?" Absent or present, you know. And so present is really how can we be present, is really the presence of who we are being in any given moment. And that's what presence is about. Um, are you being present with your your chosen role at the moment, or what you're doing, or your space, your environment, or your thoughts, which is most important? How present are we in our thoughts? And that has been, of course, the talk. I'm sure this is not a new reflection of or information to you. But we know that while we are being present, we are more connected to source. We are more connected to ourselves. We are more inclined to accepting what is. And that is what it is about being present. And that is what presence is about. So, again, if we are not really in tune with ourselves, if we do not like certain aspects of ourselves, how are we being present with the totality of who we are? What is? What is our makeup? What constitutes Crime a Queen or you? How present are we being in that moment, or in our bodies, or in our spirit of who we are or where we are? Of course, there are times it has happened to me that I am so lost in thought. I try to remember, am I in London or am I in St. Lucia, my place of origin, or am I, of course, there was one time I was traveling so much, where am I? And because I would be simply, in thoughts of lost in thought, so to speak. Okay, but presence is really that we can actually be present with beauty, with whatever it is. You could have a sense of focus, and of course, you are aware, because being present somehow, it's almost like being the observer of what you're doing, what you're thinking, and where you're at all at once. And you are observing, but you are also one with the observer. So I'm sure we all, it's like we are being our own psychologists, if you like. But of course, taking away the analytical aspect of it, we observing because to be observant in this context is really being non-judgmental and non-analytical, if you like, just to be and what we are meant to be human beings, just being in a moment, being with ourselves, being in our spirit, being with someone else. So, talk about being present. Um, I love this story. I was engaged in conversation over Christmas time or New Year's, and I was with it was a group of us, and there was a gentleman. It seemed like he was actually boasting about how he's got two wives, and of course, we were curious to understanding how they seem to um, be so accepting of the situation. That's the wives talking from his perspective. And he said something so profound that really got me thinking, really got me understanding an aspect of presence. Not sure that I like it too much, but there it goes. His story is when he is with one of those wives, he is completely with this person at that moment. The attention is undivided. The attention is solely and, as he puts it, very authentic. He is in tune. He thinks of nothing else. He doesn't think of the bills or the other woman or anything to that respect. He is totally in tune to her needs, her desires, her listening to her, being with her, and paying the deepest attention to her. It sounded to me like he was really being present with her. And that kind of gave me a different perspective. And also, it seemed to have given me an insight to understanding why someone would have more than one wife, or the wives would find it kind of difficult to say, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm out of it," you know. So that really to me was an eye opener. And so, because presence, she's non judgmental. Presence is just being present. So, I hope that has given you, of course, not to encourage anyone to go having extra marital affairs or having various partners, of course. Make your choices, do make them wise. And of course, as I said before, there's another side or the flip side to presence. So be mindful that you really don't want to encounter chatterbox because in some cases or in many cases, you may have to contend with chatterbox, which would be a little bit too much. Okay. So I thought I would leave you with this insight of actualizing self-full love. We have to take all aspects of this self-full love into consideration, self-respect, knowing that what we want for ourselves is that we want for the other, and that because the other is being a representation of who we are. We are actually mirrors of each other. We are actually responsible, if you like, for each other. Hence, they say, be your brother's keeper in this context. And really be mindful overall. And so we'll catch up again, so to speak. We'll have much more to elaborate on presence. I hope you have found this useful or beneficial. And if you have, do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let the crimson light be ignited in you. Let the crimson light shine bright in you. So I leave you with those words. Namaste. Thank you.